Hi, this is Ed from Delta-Therm. Today we're going to discuss self-regulating cable and how to properly terminate it. When you get the cable off your spool, it's going to look like this. But what we want is to have this cable in this configuration. So today we're going to talk about how to get the cable to look like this. The cable consists of a black over jacket, a braid wire that covers the inside of the cable, and that braid wire covers this gray inner jacket of the cable. And within the inner jacket, there's this black conductive core. This black conductive core is critical to be isolated from any part of your electrical system, and we'll show how to do that shortly. And within the black core, there are two bus wires. These bus wires should never come in contact with each other. That would be a direct short for your cable system. So we're going to look at the components that address the bus wires and how to isolate this entire assembly from your building steel and from shorting out. To prepare the cable, you just need standard electrical tools that an electrician would carry in his pouch or in his lineman's bag. You would use a pair of side cutters, you would use a pair of lineman's pliers, and a utility knife to get it into this shape. So let's get started. So I'm going to score down the center with firm pressure, not too much pressure, because I don't want to cut into that braid wire that I spoke of before, and you will see that braid wire once this is removed. So I'm going to cut about 9 inches of this over jacket with this knife. I'm just going to slice down the center, and then I'm going to peel it back and cut it. We've removed the black over jacket and we've exposed the braid wire, which is the ground of the cable. The next step will be to remove the braid wire from the center assembly of this cable. And to do that, I'm going to work an opening into the braid, then I'm going to bend the cable and work that cable through that opening in the braid. So here I go. Okay, now I've got the cable braid removed from the cable. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut about 2.5 inches off of this braid wire. Then I'm going to twist this braid into a wire, for lack of better terminology right now. And now I'm going to put on a ring terminal with a crimper, and then and that'll be for connecting to a pipe standoff. And this is what's going to provide the ground path throughout the entire cable. So now we've got our ring terminal on to our ground braid, and the next step we're going to do is we're going to strip back about 1 inch of this gray insulation, exposing the conductive core. And I'm going to do that in the same manner that I removed the black over jacket. I'm going to score it down the center and peel it back. So here's that step. And that's exposed this black conductive core, which needs to be protected from touching anything within the electrical assembly to avoid, ground fault, or avoid a direct short, or somebody getting, a little bit of a tingle if they do touch this. So the next step is I'm going to prepare this for terminating to the building wiring system. So if you have two wires coming to your heating cable, those two wires are going to connect to this. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut out the center of this core, and then I'm going to strip back about 1/4 of an inch of that core material from each of the bus wires. And I'm going to do that now. So now when we get the cable to this point here, we can use this to connect to a pipe standoff so we can finish connecting this to the electrical power of the facility. So that's what we'll do next. Part of the power connection kit for this cable includes a pipe standoff. This standoff will physically attach to the pipe. It's held onto the pipe with a couple of pipe straps, and you would also install a junction box. This is a 3/4 inch threaded pipe, so a standard 3/4 electrical fitting will be what's required for mounting a junction box to the top of this standoff. So I'm going to install this cable through the standoff and attach the ground, because your ground braid is part of the ground system of the cable, and it has to be continuous throughout your electrical system. So now I'm going to install the cable into the standoff. So I've attached the ground braid through the provided screw and the ring terminal into the bottom of the pipe standoff. So now the standoff is ready to be mounted to the pipe, and you can put your junction box on this device here. So insert the cable, bend this a bit. Now this would end up being physically mounted with the pipe straps to your pipe. Then you put a junction box on here, then you would connect your bus wires to this point right here with the supplied components, and we'll do that next. So when you get to this step here, this is for demonstration. This should all be done inside of the junction box mounted to the top of the standoff. I've got the crimp connectors connected to a couple of wires, which is a facility wiring coming off of circuit breakers. In this case, I've got a couple of number 12s connected to the bus wires of the SR cable assembly. So when you get to this point here, you would take the silicone that's supplied with our kit, and you would cover this area here, which is the conductive area that's exposed, with the silicone. And then when the silicone's on there, you would take a piece of heat shrink that you had pre-sleeved over your facility wire, center that over the splice connection, then you would hit this with your heat gun to shrink this down. And the heat shrink is filled with glue, and it's received that way, so as this is being shrunk down, the glue melts and it seals the entire assembly. Once again, this is all done inside a junction box, which is mounted at the top of this. And the junction box has conduit feeding that, and within that conduit is where you have your wire from the facility to power up your cable. This concludes how to prepare an SR cable for connection to a building wiring system. Again, key importance here, it's the conductive core here. That's the focus of this. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, contact Delta-Therm. My name's Ed. Have a good day.